The heart can only take so much, guys and gals. Um, wow. We gotta stay humble. We gotta stay humble. Uh, Thank you so much. The support I received, I'm currently receiving, am still receiving for my reaction series right now that I just started for Interview with the Vampire. I thought that I got lucky when I started watching Succession, which, by the way, it's another really good show. Check it if you like really layered, problematic, interesting, yet frustratingly empathetic characters. Succession is it's the bee's knees. It's 4 seasons. It's really good. It's really good. Beautiful show. Then I start this. I start Interview with the Vampire, and I mean, dude, I the likes, the views, the support, the love, the appreciation, and all this. I'm just watching it pour in. This has now broken my record, previously held by Succession, for most viewed slash most popular series so far. I mean, Severance is doing well enough, and I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we get 10K. Like, like what? That being said, I don't want to waste too much of your time, but there are a few quick little things I want to clarify about what I said in episode 1. I can't always guarantee that I'll be able to respond to every single comment, but I try to engage in the conversation and discourse. First of all, once again, this is to reiterate, I have never seen the movie Interview with the Vampire. I've never watched this show, and I certainly have not, much to my own chagrin, I certainly have not read the book series. So if there is character context, motive, true intention, anything like that behind any of the characters and their actions in the show, I don't have that. I don't know this. I'm going in blind. I'm reacting all the opinions that I've been formulating, everything that I've been saying, and based on the limited information that I have, I'm doling out, my opinions and such. To clarify the next point, which is that when it comes to Lestat's intentions, Monsieur Liancourt, I know that in the previous episode I kind of classified him as a bit of a predator, and that his intentions seem to be along lines of like grooming. Again, I don't have more context than the outsider perspective watching the show. There have been plenty of Lestat defenders in the comments, and I get it. And I talked to my friends who have read the book, and they get it too. They were like, oh yeah, they'll be defenders. And it's like, I'm not saying Lestat's a bad guy. I don't even know the guy. I'm just saying from what I saw, it just seemed to me like he was kind of, I'm sure there's true emotion in there, and people are quick to say that he's head over heels in love with Louis. I believe it. I'll believe it. However, you can't tell me this whole series of events, literally him preying on the people around town, creating a sickness, people around close to Louis, emotionally or familial ways are either dying or abandoning him, and all the dominoes are falling in a certain way where it just seems like Lestat's, to put it generously, Lestat's timing is perhaps not the most opportune, is what I'm saying. I'm not trying to say he's a predator, and especially as somebody, I think only one, maybe two people, I think like one person pointed it, like accused me in the comments, and I'll address everything. When I made my analogy, when I was talking about, hey, this sure seems to be that perhaps like homosexuality and coming out, there's some like symbolism with being a vampire and having to hide that. I'm not trying to like diss the homosexual or bisexual community or trying to villainize or anything. I'm not trying to say anything offensive. It seems that I did. A couple people got a little bit upset, and again, apologies. I'm not trying to upset anybody. But then somebody else agreed in the comments as well. So it's like, I don't know. I have not read Anne Rice's books, and I don't know what her intent is through any of this. I'm not familiar with the source material or the overall point of the story. So again, anything that I'm saying, feel free. Let's discuss it. If you believe it's an error, without spoiling the content, let's discuss. Feel free to correct, throw in some factoids. For some reason, it didn't hit me until after the episode that Paul was legitimately mentally ill, mainly because I felt like the show was focusing more on his religious inclinations, so I didn't want to equate the two. I didn't want to say, oh, he's mentally ill and he's also religious, so those go hand in hand. So I think in my mind I said, oh, he's a bit quirky, he's a little off. Yeah, birds in the cage of his mind. Sure, but I was just attributing it to him being kind of like,
no order.
people think that he might have been schizophrenic or that he had some fairly serious mental illness. So it's not that I was closed off to the possibility. I just was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. But unfortunately, he is no longer with us, so it's a bit of a moot point now. Oh, and then somebody else pointed out why the hair and nails might be a little bit different than your average person if you're a vampire. But cool little stuff like that. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for coming along for what I'm sure is going to be an amazing journey. I already loved the first episode and everything about it, and everybody seems to like my style. Like, there's a few dislikes, but like I'd say 99% of the people that are watching this video love what I'm doing with this.
No pressure, MovieMan. Don't worry about it.
And everybody's okay with how I'm tackling the show, trying to be respectful, but at the same time emotionally open and vulnerable, and dissect the show and just really show it some appreciation. That being said, I'll probably show myself later. I do have a Patreon I'm going to be adding content to it soon, but that's technically live now, so I'll be like promoting that more once I actually have more content over there. But if anybody's looking for ways to like support me and all of this more, I've talked enough. I've talked a whole lot. We are episode 2 of Anne Rice's interview with the vampire. Still love the opening titles, the city being like the Thames. I love it. Episode 2, After the Phantoms of Your Former Self. The YouTube titles, it's gonna be interesting typing all these out. A cold one to crack open with the boys. It's been, and the girls, and the theys, and the thems, the days, everybody. Equal opportunity cold one. By the way, someone corrected me. I thought I was saying Louis, but apparently I said Lewis in the first episode, I think. Again, always feel free to correct me, add in your own trivia, fun facts, any context that won't spoil the show. Feel free to sling it my way. And on to mention,
It's Venetian.
Oh.
Contemporary of Tintoretto's.
Marius de Romanus. Never heard of him.
Little of his work survives. Mr. de Poix-du-Lac covets the rare.
Did you hear that? I keep hearing that sound.
Where the building sways a bit. But
Oh,
that
the
is according
wind.
to its design, given the height. We call it the groan. It won't disturb your meal, which is ready now.
Wait, hang on, does he live in the Burj Khalifa? Like, I know that he was in like a nice high rise, but I didn't think it was like it can't be the big boy itself, can it?
Did you always work for him?
Please, have a seat.
Sign an NDA? I mean, is it only work, or are you and he...
I serve a god. It is my honor to serve.
I serve a god. It is my honor to serve. Yeah, so wait, I don't know how I feel about that. Is Louis projecting that? Maybe it's like, well, I am a immortal, otherworldly being, so it's only right that people should serve me. Or is this guy just met him and is equating him to that of a deity? The last thing I forgot to talk about, a lot of people in the comments are throwing around the word unreliable narrators. And some people are saying, oh, the story's full of them. Louis himself is one. Other people are saying, oh, no, just don't worry about that. Just everybody tosses that term around. Again, I'm approaching this as a completely blind man, just giving you my take. So until I see someone be an unreliable narrator, until I see somebody behave otherwise, I'm judging them based on what they are projecting to me in the moment.
How many courses are there? Fattening me up for the inevitable end?
Getting you ready. Oh, they got the masks at least. Ooh, I bet it's a delish. Oh, don't get me started on like fanciful meals like this.
Pickled fruit, roasted apple bonbon.
Roasted apple bonbon. Oh, what are they gonna bring out, like human flesh and limbs for Louis? What do you want to bet? Yep, blood. So they're all aware and they all choose to serve. Dude, the meal he's being served looks impeccable.
He is. You missed at least 3 or 4 endangered species.
I want to apologize for my outburst earlier. I can assure you it will not happen again.
Memory is a monster. We forget. It doesn't. This is session 2.
Dude, the writing in this show already. For one, I'm glad that Louis said something about it just then. That does kind of go into the unreliable narrator claim that I'm starting to hear. How he says, oh, back then.
I was, admittedly, a rougher thing then.
But then you hear in the audio from their previous interview, he gets agitated and attacks Malloy here. And then even just then in the back then in the room, when he first played that audio of the old attack, it once again aggravated Louis.
You were disrespectful.
and triggered another small yet still like important outburst, right? So even though he says I was a more of a brash kind of character back then, it still comes out. How did he put it? Like, memory is like a harsh mistress. We might forget, but it doesn't. Dude, that's I love this writing.
Louis de Pont de Lac. Can we turn down the music?
Bread, crushed almonds, garlic, olive oil, salt, a garnish of green grapes, and AB negative, fresh from the farm.
The farm?
Tea.
Where's the farm?
Part of me wants to ask about the farm.
Two vampires walk into a church. That's where we left off.
Yes.
Blissing out post-priesticide.
Bliss was merely a stage
boy.
in my transformation. Pain followed. A seizing and unrelenting pain through which I would pass before my apprenticeship began.
What's happening?
What do you
Your body
think?
is confused. Your lungs feel like water. Your heart fire. You feel as if you're dying.
So
Because you are.
casual about it. Yeah, because the transformation to vampire, again, somebody warned me not to like compare this to other works, but I mean, what else do I have to draw from, right? But like, isn't the transformation to I feel like it's like vampires and werewolves, lichens, etc., etc. The transformation process is always going to be like unpleasant. It's in the moment it might be like pleasure from the pain, orgasmic to an extent. I don't know if this is true, but somebody in the comments speculated that vampires can't really have physical intimacy in the traditional sexual sense, but they can have physical intimacy in just kind of the touch, the skin, the caress, the feeding, and whatnot. I feel like it's always going to be based in like some form of pain.
And then there's the red shirt. I recognize the hypocrite I am, emphasizing cleanliness after I overindulged. But proper disposal is the penance of a sated vampire, and you know we said a conveniently located graveyard nearby, so...
Damn.
We live off the blood of the living. Lap up the blood of the deceased, and it'll suck you right down into death along with your victim.
Good to know. He's very chipper about all this, though. Jeez. My man's just casually dying over here. Louis, magnifique. What a wonderful creature. Oh. Oh no. My boy. I feel tremendous.
There's a spark.
Why does this oh no, him starting to see things in a different light? This makes me think of when you have that reveal in Daredevil where it's like, well, what do you see?
What do you actually see?
A world on fire.
And the way that he sees everything is only due to his heightened senses and whatnot. Especially because he was saying like the heartbeat of Lestat sounded like a cavalcade, like an enormous drum beat. Everything's gonna be glowing, vibrating. Oh no. A sense of euphoria.
Lestat's blood was giggling inside me,
Oh no.
teasing my senses, illuminating the district with overwhelming detail.
I mean, I would have probably taken
As
him
if
up
I'd walked my
on his
entire
offer
life as a dead man.
in his same
and
shoes.
now, dead, could finally receive the secrets of existence
You're f***ing loaded.
beyond articulation.
I love, I'm sorry. Again, I know all the pausing, but I love the immediate cuts from him being like, my senses were stimulated with the dark blood and the demented giggles throughout my system. And Malloy's in the corner like, oh yeah, so you were like blitzed out of your mind.
Your ears will pick up the world like a maddening symphony. Your eyes will wander, led by your hunger. Are you hungry, Louis?
At least he has a trip sitter, you know?
They were your brothers and sisters once, but now they're your savory inferiors. A young tempranillo, fleshy and tart. A primitivo, hints of iron, rather plain otherwise. A pair of oak-aged Cabernet, thick-skinned and chewy.
Like a lovely jerky.
You have the power to subdue anyone you want, but sometimes restraint is your most powerful weapon.
I didn't want to interrupt his kind of like going over the options in the buffet that is now Nolans, but that's what makes me look at Lestat a certain way. I agree, human beings, me being one of them, by the way, not a huge fan of our species. We try to do good, but we end up doing more harm, I think, overall. And most people are the scum of the earth, you know, percentage-wise. I don't know. I don't want to like...
All you people are terrible. Clip that.
But I don't like the verbiage there. That reveals, again, more about Lestat's character. He sees himself as like, I guess all vampires, all immortal beings would see themselves as these, I'm better than most people around me. The mindset though, where he's like, take your pick from what you like, these people that are lesser than us. Like, I don't like that. With great power, right, like comes the responsibilities. In a position of any type of power or authority, or like being a king, for example, it's like you want to be like tough but fair. You want to be able to still have humility in this role. Like in this case, you could be like, okay, well, we need to feed, we need human beings to, you know, sustain ourselves, but let's not treat them like they are like lesser living beings and like there's some like animals or what have you. I don't know. I mean, again, I believe he's had a lot of trauma and abuse. We had a peek into that at the dinner table with Louis' family when he was like when he was chatting up old Paul Atreides back there. I don't like that, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh,
Straight to the
slow down there,
prettiest girl at
Tiger.
the party. I admire the aesthetic. But you'll spend most of the evening trying to separate him from his crew. You'll race the sun for the kill, and when he turns up missing in the morning, you'll have half the frigate on the prowl looking for him.
All that being said, I love this back and forth right now. How like I jokingly said trip sitter earlier, but I love that like we learn about how vampires function in society right now as the audience through a very naturally diegetic scene wherein Lestat literally guiding a freshly turned Louis through the whole process. And he's like, yeah, you want to, if you do this, this will happen. If you do that, that'll happen. But you should try to just kind of like, not giving him the answers necessarily, but giving guidance along the way. Like Lestat's, I mean, he's clearly experienced, been around the block more than a few times.
In the beginning, it's best to let the food come to you.
Here you go.
Oh no.
I was a baby bird in Lestat's nest,
You leave
not
this
yet ready to hunt,
poor man alone.
desperate to feed.
So I'm taking my daughter to look at horses, Palominians. You know, those Indian types that run free out west, and I'm doing pretty good for myself. You know, some new
Born in
century,
the sleep.
new jobs.
But he's transfixed on Prince Charming over there.
This is what happens.
Nothing but relentless questions at that age.
That's right. I tell her this is the nature of things. Someone has to
Stay on course, he says.
harvest.
Refocus.
You gentlemen down here. Now what do you grow? You grow cotton?
Sugar.
Sugar.
Careful, Moshe. You're beginning to frighten the man.
That's why your daddy sells tractors. International Harvester Farmall.
My
Go ahead and
international
take that.
harvester.
Might come in handy.
Might come in
I
handy.
am gas-powered, open-geared beast of burden.
I didn't realize he still, Lestat still has the blood on his cuffs, but he just draped a coat over it. He reeks of experience.
Fancy
The
right here.
confidence. Well,
Just to be clear here, gents, we are here to talk about farm equipment. Am I right?
of course.
Streamline tractor. You know, not only going to increase your harvest, it's going to keep your child from tears.
Oh, don't worry. We'll get you nice and plowed. Don't worry.
You
Got a little something on
your
your
sleeve.
Whenever you're ready, Louis.
I knew it. I knew it.
Oh! Oh no, poor guy. He tried.
The neck, right the neck, Louis. No, you don't bite the blood. You suck it.
You don't bite the blood.
Yes.
Bro, imagine how shitty is that this is how you go down, but you get murdered and you're the tutorial. like someone's learning on you right now. Like that's crazy.
Yes, that's better. Good.
But what about Daddy's little girl?
For our next carpet, I'm thinking Persian.
Excuse me.
Arabesque, maybe.
Damn.
We certainly need a more efficient way of ridding the waste.
Ridding the waste.
The first time is the most unwieldy. Soon you'll be a natural. You come to enjoy it.
I gotta go home.
This is your home
This
now.
is your home?
Louis.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is
Breathe.
home.
I gotta collect money from the cribs.
I have all the money we need. Breathe.
I have to go see Grace and Paul.
Oh, dear.
Oh. And now.
I need to go home.
Yeah.
You're going to find that very difficult.
Yeah, there's not gonna be. Yeah, no. Yeah, you're in the day too. Yep. Oh no.
Hey, now. Come out, I'll pay.
Lestat just waiting out inside. Yeah, he knew.
The sun gives life to everything but us. I should have told you that.
Oh.
The life of...
I should have told you that everything else, but you didn't think to stop him before he. Okay, all right. No, I really wonder about Lestat's character sometimes. I don't know, man.
A vampire has its challenges and its rewards. New Orleans, with its music, culture, cuisine, shipping yards, conventioneers, thrill-seeking tourists far flung from their homes, the laissez-faire attitude of the local police force.
Man is built.
Oh
though.
yes, perfect setting for a vampire home. A vampire romance.
My man is like, I give him credit though. Oh my god, the coffin too. I give him credit. My man literally has it made in the shade. It's free real estate. Because when you're immortal and you have like lifetimes of wealth accrued, yeah, you just get all the luxurious little antiquities and the luxuries of your time, multiple time periods, and just all coalesce together into one place and just enjoy yourself. And you already know all the ins and outs. Just set up shop and.
I ain't sleeping in there.
Shall we, mon cher?
We'll get to your own soon enough. You've had a long life, Louis.
We could just spoon in a coffin.
And there's an extraordinary one ahead. Have a rest.
We gotta sleep nude, huh?
It's okay. You can be on top.
I can be a switch.
Hell of a bender.
You ever heard of a power bottom, Louis? I am more of a, how you say, pillow princess myself.
He rushed me headlong through the encounter as if it was something to put behind us. Death, rebirth, coming out, homicide.
He was quick
Too
to
many
get through it.
firsts for one night.
Coming out? You robbed a daughter of her father. Maybe a pet pony. How's sexuality play in that?
It's a complicated question,
Interesting.
Daniel. And we shouldn't conflate it with the salesman's death.
Humor me.
To satisfy your fixation, being transformed by Lestat, being desired by him, bedding down with him, was an overture of sorts to that side of my nature.
The shame of queer theorists everywhere.
I got in that coffin on my own free will. In the quiet dark, we were equals.
Okay. Gee whiz. Boy howdy. Golly gee willikers. Look what happened. I kept watching the show, and now I have more insight into Louis' character and why. So the initial preconceived thoughts and notions that I had before, oh, would you look at that? Episode 2. Now I have more, I'm more informed. He right there, well, like, because even Malloy was like me. He was like, so how does the sexuality figure into it? And right there, asking ye shall receive. He answered. He said, I got into that coffin willingly. So cool. Boom. I can dispel my previous theories. Boom.
White master, black student, but equal in the quiet dark.
Provocation. Is this the primary tool one walks away with after downloading your internet class?
Malloy's the YouTube comment section right now. No, actually, that sounded more like like Twitter, I think. Hey, if you're an investigative journalist, sometimes you gotta provoke to get an answer. Excuse me?
Rabbit three ways, and Volpe's repelli, or repel sandpaws.
Oh, PETA's gonna love this one.
Back to the salesman for a sec. Clearly you were haunted by it, the taste of his blood in the back of your throat, up in your gums.
Let me ask you, Daniel. You contemplate the life of the rabbit before you cut it? Or do you simply cut? Vampires are killers. Apex predators whose all-seeing eyes were meant to give them detachment. The ability to see a human life in its entirety. Not with any mawkish sorrow, but with the thrilling satisfaction of being the end of that life. Having a hand in the divine plan.
Oh.
I'm problematic.
So he tried to jump from, do you think about the rabbit's life before you cut into it? Human beings, you exist, but we vampires, we exist. Again, like these episode 2, all of a sudden, like vampires are, it'd be difficult to think anything but after a certain amount of time, right? Because you would feel that power, you feel stronger, you know you're stronger, you know you could live longer. But like literally, he's adopted Lestat's philosophy of human life being lesser than, and that vampires are like, oh, we shuffling human beings off the mortal coil. That's our duty. That's our...
And I am burdened with glorious purpose.
Don't expect every reader to swallow that one.
Yeah.
That's the purpose. Our book must be a warning as much as anything.
A warning of what? No. Oh, all right. See now, again, I guess this is, what do you... No, you lured Malloy in. So our last conversations weren't quite up to snuff. We need to set the record straight. We need to make it honest. Like, this was supposed to be a telling of his story and his life story as a, you know, a man turned vampire and the life lived therein. And now, after getting a little bit cozy and having like over dinner, now he's put himself speaking to these holier than thou platitudes and say, no, we need to spread the gospel. This book is a warning to humankind. Like, what is?
It was the right line of questioning. I was haunted by the salesman, and as a fledgling vampire, I did not readily take to killing.
Yeah, of course
When I
not.
first started learning English, bored of every word felt like a doorknob falling out of my mouth. Chapeau was a hat, the toilet was a star.
Killing folks ain't a second language.
But when I started dreaming in English, that's when I embraced it. And now, I have English consonants to thank for this astonishing jawline.
These are nightmares I'm having to start, not dreams.
I have English consonants to thank for this astonishing jawline. No, but he raises an excellent point, though. If I give myself credit for anything at all, it's that I have a remarkable grasp of the English language. I use all them fancy $5 and $10 words, but I am not bilingual, trilingual. But I hear from people that are learning languages that it's really weird because when you become more familiar with, you know, with a language, then like he said, it can permeate your subconscious and get into your dreams. At least for me anyway, whenever I dream, it's very rarely what's at the forefront of my mind, but rather deep-seated subconscious worries, anxieties. I don't have good dreams, guys. It's true. Like it'd be so weird to dream in a foreign language, but granted, it'd be one you understand. So exactly what Lestat's speaking to. He used to like on English for the longest time, but you know, when it started getting into his head, he accepted it as he learned it more and more and became more fluent in it. Point of clarification, while I was editing all this right now, I realize now more that given the conversation and Louis' response in the moment, that the conversation is less about Lestat reflecting on his learning the English language, but more using his learning and then adoption of the language and eventual comfort to it, likening that to Louis, evidently Louis having like nightmares, bad dreams about the murders that are being committed and the hunting they're doing. So Lestat's saying, well, eventually the thing that I tried that I thought was awkward and cumbersome, eventually it became a comfort and a thing of no worry at all. He's trying to like really lay that to Louis and say, oh, you'll be fine. Like, before you know it, you feel uncomfortable right now, but you'll get used to it eventually.
Ben, how's your arm?
There is something, Mr. Dulac. The new
Anything.
gaming house you're fixing on for the alderman. I want to manage it.
I'll take it up with family.
Yeah, you gotta promote your guys.
He's lying, you know.
I figure I'm a bean counter.
No, he wants the job so he can steal from you. Overcharge for drinks and women. Not enough for you to notice, but enough to make him good extra, he calls it.
And you know that because you got in his head just now.
Vampires can read minds, mon cher.
And you gonna sit on that skill for how long?
Okay, all right. So if we're going based off what the show is telling us, get the clicky out. What all can vampires do now? For the sake of this show, can't do sun. They can't do dead blood. This might seem redundant, but I'm just curious what the rules of this particular universe are. They have strength. I guess they could. What do you call that when you can speak between people? Not telekinesis. Let's call it mind meld. There's a word for it, and it's just escaping me right now. They can read thoughts, heightened senses. I'm gonna say it's a good and a bad. Slow aging.
You gonna make me beg?
Oh, later. That comes later.
One might think the ability to read a mind a most useful gift, but in reality, it's quite mundane. Every human thought boils down to three things. I want food, I want sex, I want to go home. You see that man right there? I want you to peel away every sound until you find his heartbeat. Now hold the heartbeat. You hear his lungs leaking and flooding air. His mind is just another bodily sound.
Day and a half since my last meal. Church says pray about it. Lord can't make me no food.
I want food. Shall we?
It's not cheating with a woman, because I can't get pregnant.
Sex.
I want sex.
There you go.
I'm gonna ditch this town and be somebody.
That's not.
I'll give it a moment.
Well, I'll just go home.
Hola.
Okay, that's pretty good. I want to ditch this town and be somebody. So I'll just go home. Give it a moment. Like, Lestat's enjoying this way too much.
Wait, I saw a little flash just now of his house.
Yes. You'll see as your powers grow, you can see their thoughts. It's a very distracting gift, the petty musings of meat.
Peel back on me then. What am I thinking right now?
You'll have to tell me yourself. A sacrifice is made when the dark gift is shared.
You can't read my mind anymore?
The architects of our creation mean to humble us. We're at the mercy of the other's discretion.
Just like to me.
You're not one of them anymore, fledgling. You chase after phantoms of your former self. I'll break you of it.
Crazy for Lestat to have the cojones to say, oh, the architects of our design humble us. Like, what are you talking about? You're referring to everybody else as just pure meat to sustain your like bloodline and lineage.
My unwillingness to
Roast
separate
pig.
from humanity was a constant struggle in my vampiric existence. I felt it was essential to maintain ties.
Oh, Mom.
Look what the wind blew in.
Great.
Mama.
Florence, pleasure. Oh, yeah, he's got the
Remember
shades
Lestat?
too now.
Madame de Pontelac, all the kindness for the invitation.
I don't remember inviting him, but please, take your overdressed self and have a fine time.
Oh, cute.
I see you have a banjo band in your front yard.
Mm-hmm.
Madame.
No.
What?
Was that necessary?
Move half a mile away. Don't come see your family for half a season.
I wonder
Don't
why.
come back, fragile son.
Haven't heard a knock on my door. It's a half mile both ways, Mama.
Word. It's the
Look at
elephant.
his nails. He's getting his fingernails done. And the glasses. Some fashion. Certain men like him do, Lord.
Certain men like him, huh?
What do you mean by that?
Our doc says I gotta wear them from now forward. Sensitive eyes. You seen Grace about?
Oh. R.I.P.
You see my alligator, man? See my lost it by the punch bowl.
Oh.
Oh, been too long.
Little detail. Can hear her heartbeat.
Wait.
Oh, a second heartbeat? Pregnant?
Oh my.
Oh my.
You making me an uncle out here?
Who told you?
No one told me.
Nice.
It was
Tell by the
Lefty.
look
ain't
on
I
your
heard that
followed you
ultrasound.
long as you told me you
And
wanted.
only twins.
You a fool, Dr. No. Oh, I miss you, Louie.
God, I love these suits though.
Take them glasses off and look at your
Don't
baby
give me those
sister.
back.
Give me no bag.
Your eyes,
Uh-huh.
like a church window.
Same eyes, same
Stained
me.
glass.
Different you.
Different you. You're entering your villain arc. Louis, your villain arc. You're gonna be like the Joker from the movie Joker.
You hide from me this long again, I'll hunt you down and slap you sideways.
Gotta put him straight there, sis.
Oh no, Louis. What is this? I don't need your money.
Some of that French laundry
Stop
money.
it with the babies. One's gonna be plenty.
It's two of them.
This will come in handy then.
That's nice. Still trying to take
If you
care
ain't
of
the
her.
businessman you are.
Hoping nothing bad happens to her.
Must be good if this here's extra.
You know, business
Nah, I know
is,
it's hard to see it
business.
now, but Mr. Fillmore gonna have himself the most profitable sporting house this side of Basin Street.
The alderman certainly thinks so, but...
Sir, Mr. Carlo,
10%.
I do the same thing myself.
You got your own personal attorney, do you, boy?
Boy.
No, sir. But then I'm not an alderman, am I?
No. You're his partner.
Partner.
These balconies have to be decorative only.
I feel like you'll be the next victim, I
That's
feel.
only if you call it a pocket.
What are you calling it?
Fire escape.
That's clever, my boy. It's very clever.
I like you, my boy.
Dozen rooms, proper acoustics for the musician. Good for those waiting. Best to drown out the business behind the wall.
Well, you really do have a mind inside that head of yours, don't you?
Go figure. Passive
It's the
aggressive
alderman's name going out there.
racism.
So every detail has to shout exclusivity.
Yeah, bright and industrious, huh?
Oh no, no, you're on the list. You're on the list, cabron. No.
I trust you overseeing all stages of construction as well?
Yes, sir.
Farscape. You really have earned your 15%.
15.
You truly
Oh
are an
my
exceptional
God.
Negro.
Thank you, sir.
Django over here.
Exceptional. You are that 1 in 10,000.
Exceptional Negro. Thank you, sir. It was the call and response of my entire life.
That's all I needed.
I had let them talk to me like that so long, I stopped hearing it. Yes, sir. Of course, sir. Subject-verb agreement, sir. Smile, nod, yes, sir.
See, that's a good point.
They all came from the same organ inside me. An organ unknown to science at the time, because what scientist would look for an organ found only in black men who used their weakness to
and I
rise? I wasn't
cut him
a
off with the
man
pass.
anymore. I was something else. I have powers now, and decades of rage to process, and it was both random and unfortunate the man picked that night to dabble in fuckery. If not him, would have been the next one.
It's unfortunate that night he decided to f around and promptly. I do declare, find out. That brings me a little bit more to the sympathetic side of things, because this whole time I'm like, oh, they've been treating human beings as lesser than. But then he's like, well, no, for many years I've been looked upon as lesser than, and people like me, and I've grown so used to it, and I've just let it slide so often, it's almost lost that like little bit of myself and identity. And this is kind of like taking that back then. I mean, if we're in like a Dexter situation where it's like, no, he only kills the bad ones, like, I guess that's where then the thought process of the vampire comes into play, right? Albert Wesker over here.
Only a handful of humans truly matter. Everyone else is just so much chaff. So now, I have to separate this chaff from the wheat.
Lestat showed up, was like, Louis.
Genesis is at hand, and I will be the creator.
Get him. Nice.
This was your man's escort into these states.
I was hungry.
Stone's throw from your place of business. What were you thinking?
Disrespecting me.
How did he do that?
He told me I did a good job.
Nice.
You are a library of confusion.
Some things you don't get about America, Lestat.
Yes, let's have this conversation again.
Color, white, Creole, French, queer, half queer, mostly queer. What is it?
Non-discriminating.
Complicated situation we got here is what I'm saying.
Quite the odd couple.
A couple of parish priests go missing. People say fine. Most likely kid fiddlers. But this was an important man in town. The police will be looking for this man, fledgling.
That's why we got this piece, yeah?
No, you need to show restraint, fledgling.
Oh, you need to stop using that word right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
It sounds a little like slave.
Yeah, fledgling. That's a little. I mean, I get it, the terminology of the vampire, right? But I don't know if this is a hot take or not. And normally I wouldn't be quite of this. Well, I guess I would be. This is very superficial of me. I strongly prefer Lestat with his hair down. I'm not gonna lie, like hair down. Particularly, here's sidebar. Big thing for me, aesthetic wise, I love this in movies, television, games, whatever. I love some disheveled hair. I love it when it's like you got a guy whose hair is like slicked back or done up, and then gets into a fight. By the end of the movie, it's disheveled, it's coming down and all this. So like literally like Lestat, whenever here I go killing again. Prefer the hair down.
Well, that's what it sound like. It's what it feel like sometimes.
And the carousel comes around again.
Q.
Oh, bon chance. Vampires are so quick to angy. They just need some chalky milk, maybe a couple nuggies. A couple bloody nuggies.
Angry.
Oh my. Get out of town.
For the record, if disrespect was done to you, I would have killed him myself.
I love it.
Well, what can I do to make it up to you?
Oh my god.
I want to buy the Fair Play Saloon.
That's ambitious.
If you don't want to help, I'll do it myself.
Ridiculous of you to mix human and vampire business. It always ends poorly.
Your wish is my command, mon coeur.
But how can I stop you?
You magnificent creature, you.
How can I say no to you?
My fledgling. Aww. See, I'm down for some romanticism right there. I love the two coffins be like, I can't sleep angry. Louis. I'm sorry if I offended. It's like slowly open up.
It was a grand and loving gesture on Lestat's part.
With a grand mustache like that, how can this venture go anywhere else but up? And again, another aspect of their relationship, there's like debate going on in the comments. I honestly, I love the discourse. It's like Succession all over again. There might be some commonly shared opinions, but everybody's not on the same page. Some people will say, oh, there's toxicity in the relationship and in the courtship, sure, but attribute that to the fact that it's a gothic love story, and that's going to be what it is, which I'm all here for. I love it when it's like taboo and like steamy and gothic and dark and not straightforward. I love examining problematic and painfully human relationships, a la Past Lives or Worst Person in the World or Manchester by the Sea or The Whale. I love movies that explore and show you just very flawed human beings and all that. And this also kind of goes into that. Granted, they're vampires, and yet they still have these very emotional, very emotional human tendencies and all that. How many times do they just like jump to it? These gods, these holier than thou deities, in a rash rush of rage, just charge forward and are like, oh, oopsie doopsie. Well, I guess that's part of the calling, isn't it? But I don't know. I feel like their relationship's going to be fun to watch evolve, if that's the right word for it. And, there's moments where I'm like, oh, that's sweet. That's cute. That's kind of funny. But at the same time, yeah, these people are like, nobody here's a saint. Again, that's why I loved Succession. No spoilers for Succession, but there aren't really good people in that show.
Glad of your climbing, Mr. Dulac.
Mr. Dulac.
And I was now the owner of the brightest club in the district.
They brought Bender back to the bayou.
My rules. I paid the staff better, paid the band better. All the while helping those who have been with me down the block to better themselves.
Hell yeah.
Ms. Williams.
I love it.
Mr. Dulac.
And it was a pointless point of pride that I paid back every cent I borrowed from Lestat. It was everything I had ever wanted or wished for.
This man Louis literally, I would do what he would do in this circumstance. It's like when I watched the movie Babylon, this exact time period, right? I love, by the way, very underrated. Whenever I show the people the movie, I say when it comes to this time period, I don't care if my story ends with me bleeding out from a gut shot in a gutter somewhere, as long as for like a nice 20, 30 years, something like that, I could live it up in this kind of lavish lifestyle. where you do some stuff that's kind of, you know, not really strictly legal, kind of off the books, but you're helping your own, you're moving up in the world, you wear the nice suits, you enjoy the lavish luxuries of the time, you dab a little bit in the booger sugar, what have you, and, you know, you have a drinky poo here or there, but you just make that cash, you burn through it, you're successful, you have a great time, and then, yeah, maybe you piss off the wrong person 30 years into your tenure, and then you get domed out on the street one night. What a life it must have been to live the early 1900s. Again, as I said before, I don't condone the socioeconomic climate regarding race and sexuality and injustices and all that.
And it doubled nicely as a revolving door of prey.
You fellas know where I can find a fair play saloon?
About 5 years late. So how long are you in town for?
Yeah, I'm just
From 1912 to 1917, I made a mountain of money.
Hell yeah.
Enough to retire and be buried like a pharaoh.
Ooh, oh, the Art Deco.
In the essential duties of the...
I'm sorry to keep cutting him off, but like the Art Deco, oh my God, do I love the style. I'm such a weird guy because I go back and forth from like, I love Art Deco, but then also in the right context, I love like brutalist architecture too. But like, I love the Art Deco stained glass and just oh my God.
Executor in charge, I had been most delinquent.
We named him Benjamin.
Cute.
Did you even meet the twins?
Oh, ma'am.
Ma'am. I look that old to you?
Yikes.
No, I mean, I haven't had the pleasure of meeting more of the family. Been so busy with work and, you know.
Him?
Ooh.
You know my situation.
Yikes.
Is the star still right?
Yes, it's Lestat.
Well, even Sis is becoming discouraged. This will be the downside to all that.
Oh, your nephew?
Oh, yeah. You gotta have that work-life
The other
balance.
two. The twins? Lord help us.
She had 3 kids? I thought she only had twins. Or did she have another one after the twins? Don't eat the baby. Oh, no. You wouldn't. You better not.
Still warm.
Crazy.
Well?
Some gumbo?
You should stay the night.
Oh.
I'm sure Mama would love to see it.
Uh-huh. But how about that? Appreciate you trying though, sis.
Let's see if it goes back down. Let's see.
Oh. Oh my God. Can you imagine, like, what if he actually... No way. There's no way. Killing a live fox on screen is one thing, but sinking your teeth into your niece or nephew?
I no longer kill. My last victim was in the year 2000.
Some Y2K disagreement?
I want our readers to understand that.
Okay.
Sure.
Did you eat the baby?
I sit here, a master of my instincts.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And what about the others out there?
What type of response is that? Oh my God. So this is very wise of them. Daniel Malloy, the character of Daniel Malloy, serves perfectly as a foil for the audience, basically, for the audience perspective. And especially because he's an older and wiser interviewer now, so anytime that Louis tries to obfuscate, like he just did there with his non-answer, by the way, he's straight up, Malloy just calls him out on it. I got hungry when I was looking at the baby. I know I've not killed since 2000. Make sure people know that. He's like, well, yeah, that's all well and good, but did you eat the baby? And his response was literally like, I'm a master of my I'm a master of my impulses. I don't like that answer, cowboy.
Have they mastered theirs?
Just the opposite. Most of them are slaves to the blood. Exhausted from decades, centuries of hiding, giddy to increase their numbers.
2 questions. Did you eat the baby? And
I love it.
Is the pandemic the opening they've been waiting for?
Ooh.
Pandemic, the unraveling of geopolitical foundations.
And you know this how? You guys have a thread on 8chan?
I hear them. Our thoughts can travel thousands of miles to one another.
Really?
I can stand out on my balcony.
That's okay. That's crazy, but I'll take... Well, I guess that makes sense because there was the whole... Come to me. Like, I like how he's pressing him on the baby. I don't think he ate the baby, though I didn't like how he answered the question prior. Not only can they read minds, but wait, so they have to open it up. So so according to him, a vampire can't read an unwilling vampire's mind, but you can send your thoughts consensually across oceans?
Close my eyes, and their plotting speaks to me. One of them, a brute in Madagascar, called it the Great Conversion.
The Great Conversion? Well, good luck with that, because most people I know like to play a little ball in the afternoon, or maybe going down to the beach, catching a few rays.
Yes.
Are you gonna feed on somebody
What on
now?
earth would a meth-addicted son of a coal miner in West Virginia want with eternal life?
Did you eat the baby?
Or the Arab youth whose family were wiped
Did you
from
eat the
existence
baby?
by a Western drone? No, I'm sure you're right. Hello, Damek.
Hey. Live feeding, I'm sure. Just these devoted followers.
T'es Norvège, Dubai. Crunchable?
He's American, Damek.
You like Dubai?
I haven't had the time to sightsee.
Go to Kite Beach. It's
Bruh.
good. Kites.
Jesus.
Thank you, Damek.
I don't know if I'm being too severe on Louis right now, because I'm trying to see if I can catch him and like see if there's any flaws in the story that he's telling. I don't know if that's a contradiction, right? Because Lestat, when he's training Louis as his fledgling, he strictly said like, oh, now I can't read your thoughts. Even when Louis legit stopped, turned to him and was like, okay, go ahead. But now Louis is saying, well, no, vampires can project their inner machinations across the world to each other. So was there a discrepancy in the story earlier, or is he just like specifying now, oh, we can read a vampire's thoughts only if that thought specifically is being sent like a text message, like vampire SMS.
Sisu. As I was saying, I no longer kill.
You might have a drinking problem.
I bet.
Rashid?
Yeah, I'd imagine. He might have a drinking problem.
The baby.
And there's no way he ate the baby. Maybe Sis will catch him with the feigns or something now. I will... There's no shot he ate the baby. Oh no, he had to run away. I see. Not the best outcome, but still better than what it could have been.
I had him in my arms. I was ready to tear into him.
And they cried.
I'm never gonna get control over it.
You've been skipping meals lately.
It's my nephew.
You have to stop seeing them, Louis.
Stop seeing them. Are you gonna have
I'm
any
fearful of you if they haven't already.
sympathy?
It's a rite of passage for all of us. If you love your family, as I know you do, spare them all the pain that you are causing them.
Ain't never gonna have a family of my own, am I? No sons, no daughters.
Well,
I'm your family, Louis.
I was about to say, well, we're family.
Throw me in the incinerator and make another one.
Damn.
What a waste that would be. I have 2 centuries walked this earth and can report you have no twin. No one as angry, as stubborn, as unaccommodating, as maddening.
Sound like trash to me.
As loving, as dedicated, as thoughtful, as imperfectly perfect as you've become.
That's pretty sweet.
You're a challenge every sunset, Saint Louis, and I'd have it no other way.
Aww. That's cute though. That's nice. Even if the vampire's putting on airs, like I'm falling for it. Reel you back in with that. I've been literally, if a vampire looked me in the eye, and granted, I'm like, well, he was crushing on Louis before Louis was even turned though, so I can't say that it's only because he's a vampire. But for him to look Louis in the eye, if someone looked me in the eye, a vampire, and said, I have walked this world for multiple centuries, and you're my favorite. Like I love you. You are flawed and you are imperfect, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Like that does get to my core, my heart. And I don't like to be around people that believe that they are, or like they are better than others, etc., etc. That would get right to me. Dude, Lestat's got my heart in his hands now on a string.
Good idea. Let's take a holiday.
Holiday?
What about Rome?
Ooh, let's go to Rome.
Rome, Italy?
Would you prefer Rome, Wisconsin?
I can't just pick up and go to Rome. I got a business to run.
Leave the Azalea to the capable hands of Miss Bricktop and follow the YAPPIN way.
How you gonna get coffins across the Atlantic?
That can be an inconvenience, but not impossible, obviously.
Well, how'd you get them from ship to train to cab?
How does Ferratu
Change
do it?
rivers can be jarring, I'll give you that.
Well, maybe there's a deaf, blind porter we can hire and kill when we get to the hotel.
Pity. We'll just have to settle for Rome coming to us.
Oh.
Another opera.
Not another opera, Donizetti's comic masterpiece, Don Pasquale. I was an acquaintance of his, and I saw the premiere at the Salvento 73 years ago, and I remember it like it was yesterday.
I like how he's about to stand up for himself here, though, because just like I was falling for the sweet nothings and all that. But again, my initial point that I made when they first got to this conversation in the bedroom, Louis is like, hey, like I have an issue in my life right now with my original family. I almost hit my nephew, and Lestat's like, oh, Louis, it's all part of the process. Like, you must leave behind the temptations. Cut the cord, as it were. And now he's over here like, oh, we can do all this type of stuff. Listen to me, and I'll treat us.
I have a private box, and I had tuxedos made. I've been neglectful.
Right back into it.
The steadfast pupil deserves a divine reward.
I'm sorry, but how, like, I can't, I see this type of behavior and I call it out because it's like, that's what it usually is. 'Cause this isn't exactly the same thing, but I've been in like friendships and relationships where like either, you know, a friend, partner, lover, or somebody will like say a mean thing or do a mean thing and then later apologize for it or admit fault or try to give me these placations of, oh, we'll be better. Here's a little treat for you. It'll be okay. Or in other cases, just get angrier, double down, tell me it's my fault instead. It's not exactly the same thing, but kind of. Louis, I have a problem. I almost killed my nephew, Lestat. Oh, don't worry. Like I told you.
I'm your family now. Don't worry about what used to be your life.
Oh, but I feel like you're railroading me. You're going past no, Louis. Opera, tuxedos, nice things, love, admiration. Oh, you, and then you like that's like, come on. Like and I know it's a gothic romance. I'm just saying, I'm gonna call it out. I'm gonna point that shit out because that's like not terrible, but it's not great. As messy as hell.
He had a way about him those first years, Lestat.
Didn't he just? And look how it's rubbed off on you. You think you're a god. During this whole episode, you have people serving you, like worshiping you, giving you their blood, as if like the second coming of a mythical, potentially fictitious messiah. You're existing in the height of luxury, and you're like, I have bought into the philosophy of which was passed down to me, and they all serve me, and they all believe that they are just so lucky. Please just punch to be able to serve a godlike figure such as myself. Like, he's just become another Lestat, but he is trying to project this air of I'm getting wound up right now.
Preternaturally charming, occasionally thoughtful. He was my murderer, my mentor, my lover, and my maker. All of those things at once.
Yes.
He didn't choose me to be his doormat. I knew he enjoyed it when I fought back, but there was present a kind of worship on my part. The earth beneath me always felt liquid. The status I enjoyed in Storyville did not extend itself to the operators and patrons of the French Opera House on Bourbon and Toulouse. We did what we always did to avoid conflicts there.
All the looks.
I performed as his valet.
Oh.
Walked a pace behind him. Took his overcoat once we found our seats. Remained standing in the back of the box until the lights went down, and only joined next to him once the overture had begun. And again, he had a way about him.
Don't keep on. Oh my God, you are, as a man who literally for years, dude, I wrote excuses like a doctor writes prescriptions for a certain individual. I'm not going to name names and dox anybody, but there was an individual who people were like, man, they're always just so mean to you. Like, and I'm like, no. They have this going on. No, it's okay. This is how they actually feel. Like, he keeps on, like he just had a certain way about him. Lestat, okay, this is such a complicated matter to get into because they're trying to navigate the socioeconomic and like political like nuances associated with this situation. Like, and even if it's not how he truly feels, he's still playing into it. Lestat, isn't he a bit hypocritical? Like, I get it. He's like, oh, the only way we can go to the opera, especially this French opera, is for you to just play the role. But it's the very same role that when like the poker table scene in episode 1, when they're having that conversation, Lestat is like, look at these people, they look down on you, and they, you know, everybody looks down on you, but I see you in a higher light, and we should, you know, that's how we should be. Yeah, like there's already parts of their lives they're hiding in public, obviously, like vampires, and the exact nature of their relationships and their true inner machinations. So I get it's something they're not used to, but don't you think it's a little up that it's like, hey, date night at the opera house, don't Louis, I got you all gussied up, in order for us to go there, you're gonna have to like roll back into that like subservient role that you love so much. But it's okay, because in the shadows, in the darkness, we can love each other. We just can't do it publicly. And then literally for all that, like every time that Lestat is either a little bit hypocritical, or has a double standard, or like I would catch him in something, whether he behaves one way but he says a different thing, like Louis is like writing excuses for him. Oh my God, even all these years later, he's like, yeah, he just had a certain way about him. He was all these things wrapped up into one package. I can't quite describe it. Like, oh my God, this is this is so problematic.
So that as I sat there trying to practice restraint, simmering in my indignation, Lestat seized it as opportunity to disarm me.
There's one thing about being a vampire that I most fear above all else, and that is loneliness. You can't imagine the emptiness.
I pointed that out before.
Void, stretching out for decades at a time. You take this feeling away from me, Louis. We must stay together and take precaution and never part.
That's sweet and all, but again, a lot of you keep throwing around the term unreliable narrators, right? And maybe it's a dangerous term to throw around in regard to this show. People in the comments agree with that. Some people in the comments vehemently disagree with it, but it is interesting. The only picture we have of Lestat is kind of like, isn't this all just the story being told by Louis? So even if we're seeing something on screen, isn't it all just representation of the story being told? I mean, if we're taking what he says as gospel, then even he is very well aware of what's happening. I don't know if he's aware of it in the moment as it happens, or if it's a retrospective. I've lived so much of my life, now I'm in my Dubai penthouse condo or whatever. But even right there, he was like, yeah, it's what I've been saying. Like, Lestat, guys, Lestat's not great. Like, there's love and adoration to an extent, and kinship and all. I'm not going to neglect the facts of the case here, but if we're going to look at the other facts of the case, Your Honor, exhibits A, B, C, all the way to like like even Louis even said, oh yeah, he used that as a chance to disarm me. Like that's manipulative. You make me feel less lonely, Louis. We cannot part. I am your family. We must be together always. You must cut ties with your other family. This is your life now, my fledgling. Oh, I'm sorry, my love, my like. Ooh, okay, okay.
How many of us are out there?
That's a good
Can't
question.
be the only ones.
How many vampires? Not many, I'm afraid. Maybe 100.
Why do I have trouble? Oh my God, the pinky. Just a little pinky, that's it. That's all you get. A little beep. Like, how do you know though? There's no way. There's like
The
only
touring
100.
production of Don Pasquale was a cheap affair. But The Soprano was everything Lestat said she would be.
Although I will say it's interesting to look at that. Like, it made me, this just is a random little thought, like that kind of spooled off from that. But him saying, oh, out of the entire world, I'd venture a guess there's probably around 100 vampires total. I can almost believe that. But one of my other favorite TV shows of all time, Mindhunter, do yourself a favor and watch if you haven't. In one of the interviews with Edmund Kemper, I think Agent Holden is asking him and is like, how many active serial killers do you think there are just in the US alone?
You know, there's a lot more like me.
Do you think so? People that kill in sequence like you do.
Sequence?
One right after another. At regular intervals. I've just been calling them sequence killers, if you will. How many would you say?
Well, it would be a guess, but I'd say right now, North America, more than 35.
35?
It's a number that's like just big enough where it doesn't seem like too much. 1970s America having about 30, most likely 30 operational serial killers, and now 1910s, like the world having about roughly 100 operational vampires. I could see it, right? I could see it, because you can't have too many of them. Lovely.
That was where Lestat separated man from food.
Fascinating.
Music pierced his damned soul.
Art's creation.
And any humans who were involved in the creation of it existed on an elevated plane in his eyes. I was moved to see he too had his human attachments.
Okay, so he does.
Sang for us, it seemed, articulating the difficult love we often had trouble expressing ourselves. There was one issue, however, that threatened to pop the bubble of our Italian holiday, and that was the tenor playing Ernesto. To be kind.
Oh no.
He did not live in the soprano's vocal stratosphere.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, on this level, I do heavily empathize with Lestat. Okay, I know I just went on a whole rant about humanity and whatnot, but I will admit I'm impartial to the artists of the world as well. Creative minds, neurodivergent folks, just people that are creative, that are open, like artistes, arteurs, people that'll push the envelope, etc., etc. And as I've said, like cinema is my savior, my solace, my respite, if you will. And like Lestat, whenever I'm like really into a movie or a show, I probably have a certain glow or air about me as I really like invest myself into it and get lost and absorbed into the plot. So, and then whenever I see a movie that just doesn't quite fit, or like there's an actor who kind of throws things off, or like delivery of lines, yeah, it's a visceral thing. I literally went to go see Dee Dee the other night. Great movie. I'll do a review for it eventually. But there was a woman behind me who she must have gotten like 7 extra large popcorns. I've got like these movie theater do's and don'ts and these like pet peeves. And apparently my senses are heightened to a severe vampiric extent in the cinema. And like she was eating this popcorn one kernel at a time with her mouth open, just rustle, rustle, rustle. Like, literally, when I tell you that, like Lestat, I was like, my feet, I had a visceral bodily reaction. My feet started twisting. I was like digging into my arm so like any pain could take away from the pain of what I was hearing. I was trying to lock in on the movie, and just like every like 20 seconds, I'm playing Minecraft, and that interrupts my experience. When you're on your phone, when you talk during a movie, when you just chew with your mouth open and I can hear you from across the whole auditorium, and it's like just kind of have a little bit of common courtesy and a little bit of air of awareness about you. Like I just... Oh, okay, hang on. It's okay. Popcorn lady can't hurt you. It's okay. Popcorn lady can't hurt you. But I do have a visceral reaction like Lestat does when my art is interrupted.
And Lestat was unamused.
I don't understand how someone like that can make it onto a stage. I understand they're a road company, but are they pulling talent from roadside gas stations?
Damn. Oh no. Roasting this man. Everyone's a critic. I mean, he still sings better than I could, but I'm sure if I was a professional vocal coach,
it didn't help matters that the majority of the audience didn't seem to notice. And so Lestat oscillated his disdain between the tenor and the witless swamp dwellers in the seats below. The curtain fell like a guillotine, and Lestat leapt to his feet in mock appreciation, which could mean only one thing. Kill. The hunt was on. Kill. I stood in the lobby bar, nursing my complicity, as rounds were bought and fake praise was lavished upon the mark.
Nursing my complicity.
And I was surprised by a wave of nausea coming over me. Here I was, 6 years his pupil, and it was no different than the tractor salesman.
So we are 6 years in then. Okay, I was wondering how much time went by. Well, I guess he probably said it earlier and I just missed it, because he said for years and years I've been like lining my pockets. Like, God, I don't know why this shot just got me right here. The aesthetic. I'm like, I'm so envious. Just I want those suits. I want those drinks. I want that life. Maybe not the vampire. Well, maybe the vampire. Do I want to be a god?
The right to be a god. That right is now mine.
This poor soul was someone's son, someone's brother, And he was to be butchered for what? An offending note?
Are you gonna stop him from killing him? Oh no.
Wrong.
He sat the tenor down, opened up the score in front of him, and sang as it was written. And you could see all the doubts the young man had about his art, about himself, exposed on his nodding, agreeable face. Lestat removed a lifetime of confidence, of joy in less than half an hour.
Jeez. Crazy.
E qui. E dove è finita la tua voce? Sto tarando prematuramente il nostro povero Domenico Gaetano
Jesus Christ, dude.
E come faccio io a sapere tutto ciò? Ero nel suo salato quando l'ha scritta. So no more of your sound can pollute this world.
Why do you... Jesus. It wasn't enough that you, in his last moments, you're not talented. Your career is for shit. You've butchered the writings of this maestro of artwork, and now I'm gonna kill you with that being like the last, like, besides now the pain and fear and panic, the last thing that you'll have experienced in this life was like one performance, and then just to like have all your insecurities dragged out of you and spat back in your face. That's crazy.
You do this, Lestat.
Well, I like to do it. I enjoy it.
Well, I don't.
Sadistic.
You don't have to humiliate him. Well, I don't say that you have to enjoy it. Kill them swiftly if you have to, but do it. Embrace what you are. You are a killer, Louis.
Come now, love. Let's get you to the couch to die.
I was in denial, for in bringing death, Lestat was an artist. He had cut the man tenderly so that he could not call for help, but also so that his death was slow, meditative, and I felt the charge witnessing it.
Oh my God. Come on. Oh, this is driving me crazy. It's great, but like Lestat's like, you're a killer now, embrace it. Yeah, sure, embrace the killer, but like, you don't have to be so like sadistic about it. That's the thing. The killing was so peaceful, almost meditative. You're draining him as he bleeds out on the kill. What is that gonna be peaceful about? Like, as he feels the life slowly drain from his body. Like, I get out of town with the justifications.
I listened to his thoughts as Lestat drank, and this time they came with vision. I could see his life as he remembered it. Scenes from an Italian childhood. The Easter pageant in a mountain village.
It's flashing.
An afternoon with his father on the sea.
Before his eyes.
Watching the fishing boats slowly encircle a school of tuna. Something about a wet piece of bread in his pocket.
If you listen to me, if you finally submit to your nature, you will be filled, Louis, with all the life you can hold. You will see death in all its beauty. Life as it is only known at the very point of death. You alone of all creatures can see death with that impunity. You alone can strike like the hand of God.
And I'll say it for a third time, and no more. He had a way about him.
Don't you worry, Louis. I'll keep on saying it for you. This is a madhouse!
A madhouse!
Literally, this man is at the end of his ropes. His life is flashing before his eyes as the body dies and his brain floods with the chemical of DMT, giving him the final, like, the last trip to end all trips here. Yeah, when it comes down to the science of it, I get it. There's going to be an argument between the science and religion of it, and let's get all philosophical, right? From people's testimonials, some people that have had NDEs, a near-death experience, some people see, oh, I saw a bright light, and there was a tunnel, and I saw a kingdom, I saw the pearly gates, but then they said it was not my time, and then the light went away, I came back, and I woke back up in the hospital bed, and yeah, you can call that like a brush with death, you can call that almost meeting your maker and whatnot, but as I said, what you also got to realize is that when you're dying, the human brain is It's going to conjure a myriad of different things. It can conjure Mickey Mouse high-fiving Santa Claus for all you know. You're going to be seeing all kinds of craziness, but so interesting. I can't even call it crazy. So interesting that, like, literally, like, most people that are about to die or have an NDE, their life will flash before their eyes, or like you do kind of have those moments, or especially, yes, in those moments of death when you know you're going to die. Like when the few people that are in those positions where it's like, I know I'm about to die or I'm very close to it, there's a lot in your mind. You start reflecting on your life and all this. You are in a different state of mind. Existence does change to an extent, but it's like, it's so deep to get into. For Lestat to take that thought process, a deathbed fugue state or state of mind or what have you, and extrapolate from that and interpret that as that, oh, we are the ones who, as we're taking their lives, we get to see them in this state, like this heightened state of living, in which when humans don't get to this point unless they're about to die, and then they start thinking differently, and then they start having these unique experiences and go through, like, there's so much to get into with that. Like, he's not entirely wrong. He had a way about him. He could sell water to a whale. Like, I'm just, like, to take that and say, oh no, this is part of the calling, this is part of the experience. It's our glorious purpose to take these human lives, and in doing so, we get to facilitate this, like, altered state of human consciousness that is on the precipice of its own annihilation. Oh my God, I wouldn't know. I
disagree.
But at the end of the day, he's just using it as justification for murder. Like, and for murder on the pettiest of scales for this poor man who was once a boy who had big dreams of singing a song.
And I was still very much under his power.
Uh-huh.
We would drain the tenor for hours that night. Lestat completely enthralled.
I bet.
Myself. Pretending to be.
Pretending, huh?
Afraid to disappoint.
And the way they're treating, I mean, I get it. Lestat views human life as lesser than, and Louis is like trying to grapple with that whole situation right now. But literally, human life in this episode has been distilled down a object to be used for sustenance and desire and intimacy and the musings of these higher beings.
Lestat was wrong. I was never going to be a natural. I was never going to savor the aftertaste. I was a shame-ridden second, a fumbling, despondent killer, a botched vampire.
A shared dessert?
I try to have a human dish once a week to maintain the thread. There was an offhanded remark in your memoir about this dessert. I hope you don't mind.
Huh. Interesting. Again, I don't want to conflate this with other vampiric lore in cinema and movies, but I recently saw Humanist Vampire Seeking Consenting Suicidal Adult. Great movie, by the way. 100% worth the watch. But in that movie, human food killed vampires. So interesting to see the lore in this is that they can technically still consume it? Yes. Or perhaps he has a variant of it.
What does this taste like to you?
Like almost all human food. Like paste, chalk, like soap.
Interesting.
This is the dessert I had after I proposed to my first wife, after I got my shit together. We were in Paris. Little cafe on the Rue Servandoni, up the way from Saint-Sulpice.
I know it. It's a beautiful street.
Alice, half of her eyebrow was blonde, like a mutt. She always dyed it back to brown. I liked it when she left it alone.
When we get more of these moments. So vampires can consume human food. There's just no taste, no pleasant texture to it. Fascinating. I still eat human food every now and then. I keep a thread of that left in me. That was a nice little moment there. I want to get more of Malloy's character coming up here and there. I do like watching the little after, like the little behind-the-scenes featurettes.
Episode 2, After the Phantoms of Your Former Self. It is Louis de Pontelac as fledgling vampire and Lestat as his master teacher. Louis trying to figure out what this new world is, what the burdens are, and how to use these powers. Part of the tension here becomes about, I am a different species than these people. So if you're a vampire and you're a black man and people don't know that you're a vampire, you are going to run up against a couple of things.
And that conversation then comes up. There's a difference between saying I'm different than these people, or I am elevated now. Like, yes, but also like
you don't have to put up with that bullshit anymore. Can't be dropping bodies left and right. We get to have a little fun with race and sexuality, and then the burdens of an interracial, interspecies relationship, and also the professor-student relationship is messy.
Yes.
But something about taking of human life is not sitting well with Louis. And the complications of trying to have a foot in both worlds sort of reminds him of what a monster he thinks he's become. The killing of the tenor is, I think, the final sort of straw that, like, this is never going to be comfortable for me. I'm never going to be a vampire like Lestat. While he is at his most articulate about what this is about, Louis fully admits it. I'm not buying it. But he was still so under the throes of Lestat, so he fakes it. The idea of being a botched vampire that slowly begins to kind of open up something inside Malloy. Like any good journalist, he's sniffing around for what the armor is, but there are things in this story where you sit back and say, vampires, they're just like us. He starts opening up a little bit, catches himself, and turns off the interview. And I think begins to, start that road down, how am I gonna empathize against this predator that feasts on people like me?
I love, oh my God, the conversations you can have about like humanity and morality. What I've been having so far this entire episode. I love the, for lack of a better term, the essay prompts that this whole moral dilemma is prompting, the conversations to be had regarding like approving of Lestat's actions, condemning them, and then being a vampire. Like, you are an altered being, but are you a higher being? Are you lesser than? Are you equal footing, equal terms? I get why Lestat is the way that he is, right? When you've existed for, it's kind of like when I was a kid, I went through a phase where when I finally got my hands on the internet and YouTube and all that, I went down a rabbit hole where I would just Google movie death scenes. I had a morbid fascination. I watched so many violent, painful, grotesque, like crazy and iconic movie death scenes, and then I just watched so much horror in my formative years growing up that I became desensitized to it. Horror can still make me squirm, and I can still become tense, anxious, and fearful in the experience, but I have seen so many horror films, and I've seen the depravity, I've seen like nudity, violence, I have seen some of the worst things you can imagine possible on screen. It's nothing to me. It's like second nature. So in that respect, I don't know, it's kind of like, like between a vampire and Doctor Who. Hear me out. You exist for so long, like decades, centuries, etc., etc. You can adopt one of two philosophies about it, right? You can have the positive moral one of like, the Doctor, who sometimes he's had to do some really messed up things, but overall tries to help people, have people in his life, relationships, hold on, even knowing how it will end. It's the glass half full philosophy of, well, let me still try to do good and spread good cheer and goodwill where I can while I'm existing. But then you have the other side of the coin, the Lestat philosophy, which is that life is so boring now. I've seen every facet of it. I've explored every corner of the world. I have seen the sights. I have experienced all the emotions, tasted all there is to taste. There is nothing left to do now but to try to find purpose in my existence. And that purpose is just to separate the wheat from the chaff, to kill beings that I deem to be lesser than me or unworthy of their life, and then to savor in those moments of death and to relish in my existence of being able to perceive and feel and hear that in those moments. Then that's my life. And it's like, I guess if that's your self-prescribed purpose in life, sure, but like, oh my God. Woo, philosophical debates abound. I can chew on this all day. I am the king of playing devil's advocate. High school debate team. I will discuss all day the pros and cons and all the different sides and facets of this. Oh, what a miraculous series of like moral dilemmas to discuss. But we can't be here all night. I'm sure I turned like a 40-minute episode into an hour plus conversation. I'm not sure how long it's going to turn out. Only 2 episodes in. Oh my God. I'm still loving it. I hope you guys and gals are too. I got a shill. Thank you so much for subscribing, coming along for the journey. You already know if you hit that bell, you'll be notified whenever I post live. I'm trying to get at least one of these up a week, but I'm not going to lie. If you guys get me to like 5,000 subs, I might even put like 2 up a week. I don't know. Commenting, liking helps the algorithm. Instagram, feel free. Miscellaneous exploits, other movie reviews, Twitch. I'm becoming gradually more active on that platform again. I'm a variety streamer, but I love narrative-focused games. And then, like I said, I do technically have my Patreon live. I'm going to be slowly getting content up there, and I'll make a big announcement when I actually have the content up there. But the tiers are available if anybody is so inclinated, but please do not feel like you have to at all. It's just like if you'd like to, it helps. But it's not an obligation. You being here, you watching and supporting is more than enough. So thank you. That's all I got to say about this episode of Interview with the Vampire. That's episode 2 in the bag. I'm still loving it. Ooh, such good conversations we can have. Please, let's have them down below. Or call me out again, or tell me if I'm wrong, or tell me if I'm hating on Lestat too much. But thank you guys and gals so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode. I hope this was also a good one. I hope that you're still enjoying it. I really want to. There's pressure now. I want to live up to the hype that you guys have been creating. So hopefully you enjoy. But stay tuned, and love you all. Thank you, and goodbye, travelers.